and welcome to episode 57 of Think Like a Hacker, the podcast about WordPress security and innovation. At WordCamp US in St. Louis, Missouri this year, we sat down with a number of people, interesting people, from around the WordPress community. One of those people was Mattie Osmond. Maddy is an SEO content strategist who has worked with some familiar brands. Mark sat down with her to talk about how she got into this interesting line of work. And at the end of the podcast, stick around as you see Maddy show Mark how to pick a lock. Enjoy.
All right, so I'm at WordCamp US 2019 in St. Louis, chatting with Mattie Osmond. And I guess we met recently via Twitter.
Yep.
And then in person yesterday for the first time at US, which is one of the awesome things about US.
I love this place. It's my first time here, so.
Oh, really?
It's kind of overwhelming, but like in the best way.
Oh, epic. Cool. So you've been in the WordPress space for how long?
It's been, well, actually, in terms of being like a full-time writer, it's been about 4 years, but my journey with web design started when I was 11 years old. It was kind of my nerd hobby, and I didn't even realize that it was a viable sort of career path until college when I got a job at like a local marketing agency on campus, and from there, I kind of discovered that I like writing about it more than I like doing the back-end work, but by nature of writing about it, I get to play around with stuff all the time, and so it's kind of a hybrid of all the things that I like to do.
Yeah, great. And so you run your own company?
I do. It's called The Blogsmith. We do SEO content writing and mostly focus on WordPress brands, but also other sort of technology brands, especially in like the software as a service space.
Awesome. And when did you start your company?
I started it, I guess technically I probably started it 3 years ago if you count when I incorporated.
Okay.
And then 4 years ago if you count when I started. But 3 years ago if you count when I figured out what to call it.
Yeah, and I guess I'm really interested in entrepreneurs because I am one, and I remember back in about 2003, I incorporated my first California corporation. I used the NOLO book and went through the steps and didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I did it. Yeah. Did you incorporate your own company or have someone do it for you?
I might have used, one of those online services like InkFile or something like that, but I definitely consulted with my accountant before I did that to figure out what structure would make the most sense. And I actually changed my mind about halfway through the year. I decided to do an S-Corp instead of an LLC.
Okay.
Just because I heard, after talking with my accountant and talking to other entrepreneurs, that it might make more sense for what I'm doing from a tax standpoint.
Yeah. No, cool. Interesting. And how's the entrepreneurial journey been for you? Kind of doing your own thing. You don't have the sort of warm and fuzzy sensation of an employer that's taking care of absolutely everything. You have to be, an administrator and an MBA and everything else while actually delivering the service or product to your customers, right?
Right. So, my journey started, I would say, with my dad because he started his own company, and it was from him that I sort of learned that it was possible. And he was a very hard worker, so I knew going into it that it wasn't going to be easy and that it was going to mean a lot of nights and weekends and just constantly hustling. And that's how it started for me. And there's obviously still a hustle, but in terms of like the financials and like admin tasks and things like that, I've started to build out a team and outsource sort of those specialized tasks that I don't know or that I know that I'm not good at.
Yeah. That's been very much our journey. We've scaled up. We're about a team of 40 now.
Wow.
And my wife is also my co-founder, Carrie Boyd.
Which is awesome.
And Carrie has she's kind of like accumulated her suppliers. So, great firm of accountants, great law firm. HR,
Awesome.
that kind of thing. And it was a process of iterating, kind of finding someone who kind of worked, but then you discover they don't really, so you move on to someone else. And we went through probably 3 or 4 accounting firms before we finally settled on one.
It's amazing how hard it is to find a good accountant who understands your industry, but also does a good job.
Yeah, totally, yeah. So do you focus on any particular kind of content, any particular area? I guess WordPress in general?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that most of the content that I'm creating for clients is something that's going to live on their blogs, and it's optimized to reach whoever their ideal target audience is, trying to match the intent of whatever they're searching for and the types of queries, how to do this or how to use this. And also trying to help people make sense of the use cases of the tools that I'm writing about. So not just here are the features, but like this is how you could use this to solve a business problem that you're having.
Yeah. Do you, I guess I was in SEO, or I was doing SEO for my businesses since about 2003, 2004.
When SEO was invented, basically.
Okay, yeah, I am that old. No, but back then, back in 2005, it felt like it was a lot about gaming the algorithm, and so we we had a job search engine, and we needed to get a lot of SEO traffic, and so we turned the data that we had, the actual jobs we had, into a directory of jobs, which was indexable by Google.
Sure.
And I was on a lot of SEO forums and so on, and it felt like the gaming the algorithm was very much the approach, and it feels like it's shifted. I think it was. Yeah, and it feels like it's shifted more towards what you were describing, which is understanding what questions people want answered.
Totally, and not only that. Google has always told us, although they don't give us, every ranking signal, they've always told us that quality content is really all they're after. Something that the user will be satisfied with, that once they land on that page, they'll get their questions answered, hopefully look at other parts of your website and maybe decide to work with you in some way. But I think a lot of people in SEO are worried about, how do I mark this up? How do I do like the technical side of things? And those things are important, but they're not the most important. And so Google recently released a new update to their algorithm called BERT. And since it just happened, I haven't dug into it too deeply, but it seems to me that the nature of this update is more focused on, finding the quality in content, using however Google figures this out with their algorithms, but understanding more of like the human side of things and not the robot technical, on-page meta tags, whatever. And so honestly, like my content on my own website, I don't update it very often, and I should, but it still ranks well no matter which of these updates come out, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to help the user. And I'm structuring my content for them. I'm thinking about SEO, but I'm really thinking about the end user, because that's what Google is telling us matters.
And that's the problem they're trying to solve, is they're trying to help the end user.
Right.
And so if your interests are aligned, you're probably going to rank much higher, right?
Right. And what was I going to say? Google, I don't know. I forgot. So, Google. They're our overlords. We must respect them.
Okay.
But we can challenge them too.
SEO lesson number 1, respect the overlord.
Yep, yeah.
And so you've spent some time at WordCamp US. I guess you were here yesterday.
Yeah. One full day so far.
Right. And are you working at a booth or just kind of being an attendee? Or?
No, honestly, I've spent most of my time in this hall just because I keep seeing people that I want to meet. You just get lost in conversations, but that's like the whole point. And I mean, I'm going to try to go to some sessions today just to, pick up some new skills. We'll see.
Yeah.
But this has been my favorite part so far. Just walking around here, meeting the people that I've met online.
Totally,
and,
likewise.
Making a personal connection, because honestly, that's how the world moves forward. As great as the internet is in connecting people, nothing beats this.
I totally agree, yeah. it feels like a much higher bandwidth form of communication to me.
It is because it's so tangible. Just like online shopping, you miss out on the experience of like touching the clothes or like smelling perfume or whatever, all those things that affect all your different senses.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing here. It's like, now I can like really see who you are, and just like the tone of your voice, like it's just so different. You lose that on Twitter.
Agreed. I think text is very low bandwidth. Did you go to the party last night?
I did.
Yeah, wasn't that wild?
That museum was crazy. I saw somebody tweeted something about how it seemed like somebody gave like a teenager LSD and a welding torch and an unlimited budget or something, and that's
and a whole bunch of scrap metal.
Yeah. I was like, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. It was the what was the venue called? It was the museum.
City Museum.
Yeah, and it was in St. Louis, and I guess there's some like dark history around it as well.
Oh, I did not hear that.
Well, the guy who created it, the artist behind it, was killed like 2 years ago when he was creating art by some heavy machinery he was operating.
Okay, that is so eerily close to what happened in Denver with Blucifer, the horse by Denver International Airport. The artist was killed by Blucifer while he was creating it. It just like fell on him or something. Which is crazy.
And Blucifer, the horse outside the airport with the glowing red eyes and the blue horse.
He's a demonic horse.
Is as crazy as this museum, So it's like there's some cosmic force that's,
killing
saying,
artists.
okay, you've created enough crazy art. Now it's time for you to move on, right?
This is your magnum opus, and you can't create anymore. I'm not going to be an artist then.
Yeah, okay. Well.
I've decided.
So are you going to go to any talks today at all? I guess there's the keynote. Matt's
definitely.
Keynote.
I definitely want to see State of the Word in person.
Yeah.
I always hear about it after the fact, and really dig in and get excited about what's coming up, and seeing like how certain controversies are addressed and things like that. So I'm really excited to see what'll happen.
I was in the line for that crazy slide in the museum last night.
Oh yeah, did you go down?
I did, yeah. My wife convinced me to. But I saw Morton in the line, and I'd never met him before.
Yeah.
And he introduced himself as a troublemaker in the WordPress space. And so
I've got a couple of those.
So, hi Morton. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets up at the State of the Word, and because I think he did last year.
That's a hard-hitting question.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think that it's important to challenge the status quo, and it's for the good of everybody, right?
Yeah.
It's not for the purpose of being a troublemaker per se, but just to make sure that we're all on the same page with what we want and what we're trying to get out of it.
Yeah, I agree, and it goes back to what you're saying about in-person communication and it being it having much more context, I think. And so in this environment, you can have those conversations. On Twitter, you can't really tell if someone like really hates you or is being really polite. You don't have that extra bandwidth. And
Twitter can definitely be a scary place if you let it be, and wondering about the intended tone behind what somebody's saying, and people don't even necessarily mean to be that way, but it's easy to take it the wrong way. So that's why I like stuff like this, where I can see if you're kidding, and I can try to make sense of that.
So we'll see if there's any drama at the keynote. But Maddie, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the rest of WordCamp.
Okay, you too.
All right.
All right. It's probably for the best that
What's
I
that?
didn't try to lockpick.
Oh yeah. Before we wrap. So all right, let me grab this mic over here. So you actually were at our booth a few minutes ago, and I guess Matt taught you about lockpicking.
I got 2 helpers. Actually.
Yeah. Okay, and you're going to give us a lockpicking demo. No pressure at all, considering you literally just learned to do this.
But I am a pro already.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the first thing I was told, if you want to make it really hard, is you have to press in this button over here. And I don't actually know. Does that look like it's in enough that it's locked? I might need oh wait, I can use this. Got to use your tools, people. Okay, so that one's locked.
Okay.
And then I was told, once it's double locked, this part gets jammed, so you can't just push it through or try to unpick that part. You have to start with this. And then you use a tool like this, ideally with sort of like a long proboscis.
That works.
And then, so another trick I was taught is you kind of go clockwise or counterclockwise around with the tool until you can kind of get under it. And I maybe heard it click. So then you're looking for this part to be movable, which it looks like I got it,
okay.
which is great.
All right.
It took me a while before.
It's like a multi-stage process over here.
It is. And then you put this guy in here. You want to have like a really thin tension rod thing, and you sort of, with any lock you pick, you want to have some tension, apparently, allegedly. And so you put this in, and you kind of push the handcuff part in as well.
What?
and that's how you become a pro. That's how you also escape police custody.
Wow.
So.
Yeah.
So the good news is I can do that. Next step is, like intense, like behind the bag, can't see anything.
Gotcha.
But
Ladies and gentlemen.
You always have to have your tools on you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mattie Osmond, police custody escaper extraordinaire in action. Wow, that was very impressive, actually.
Thanks for teaching me. I didn't know how to do it before.
Yeah,
so.
All right, at the Wordfence booth at WordCamp US 2019. Epic. Thanks, Mattie, that was epic.
That actually worked out really well.
I know, right? That was awesome.
It took me like 5 minutes before.
Sweet.
All right, cool.
We hope you enjoyed the conversation with Mattie Osmond at the Wordfence booth at WordCamp US. If you'd like to follow Mattie, you can do so on Twitter at Mattie Osmond, and you can find her writing at theblogsmith.com. We'll have links in the show notes. Thanks for watching Think Like a Hacker. Next week in the United States, it is Thanksgiving. We'll be taking a 1-week hiatus from the podcast, and we'll be back the first week of December with fresh news and another interview. Thanks for watching.